October marks Small Business Month, a time to celebrate the heart of Canada's economy and the entrepreneurs driving innovation and growth nationwide. At Canada Business Talks, we honor this spirit by spotlighting the inspiring journeys of Canadian business leaders who are redefining success through resilience, creativity, and purpose. Each conversation is designed to spark new ideas, strengthen your strategy, and expand your vision. As we celebrate this season of opportunity, let these stories remind us why small businesses remain the backbone of Canada's progress. We proudly bring this to you in collaboration with our exclusive partners, RBC as our banking partner, UPS as our shipping partner, ADP, our preferred HR and payroll partner, and Google Canada as our technology partner. Hello, everyone. An official hello and welcome to you. I am Elissa Lansdell, your media host for Canadian SME Business Magazine. I founded Rockstar Communications in 2020 as a way to unite my distinct passions and strengths in the leadership communications and media spaces. Now, since 2011, I've also had the privilege and the pleasure of helping hundreds of leaders across the globe influence their teams and stakeholders with authenticity and impact. Now, before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather and on which the region of Peel operates is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, as part of the treaty lands and territory, for thousands of years, Indigenous people have inhabited and cared for this land and continue to do so today. And in particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Ojibwe peoples, the land that is home to the Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We are so grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give our respect to its first inhabitants. Now, at Canadian SME, our mission is to empower aspiring entrepreneurs with knowledge, tools, and support that they need to build and grow successful businesses across Canada. We're dedicated to championing small business owners, fueling economic growth, and strengthening Canada's presence on the global stage. Through our magazine, we proudly celebrate the achievements and perseverance of entrepreneurs, giving them the recognition that they deserve. Our flagship events, which include the SME Awards, the Small Business Show, and the Small Business Summit, create meaningful spaces for small business owners to share their stories, exchange ideas, and inspire others. 2 years ago, we reached a major milestone with the launch of the Indigenous SME Business Magazine, a platform that reflects our ongoing commitment to celebrating the histories, voices, and contributions of Indigenous entrepreneurs. Together, Canadian SME and Indigenous SME Business Magazine continue to drive our shared mission, empowering, connecting, and uplifting Canada's diverse small business community. So welcome to Canada Business Talks, where we are committed to fostering growth and innovation in the business world. In collaboration with respected partners like RBC, UPS, and Google, we bring you inspiring insights from Canada's top business leaders to help elevate your entrepreneurial journey and to inspire you. And our guest today, Andy Hsu, is a Vancouver-based entrepreneur and the co-founder and CEO of MotionGrey, a Canadian company redefining the way we work through ergonomic office solutions. Now, founded in 2017 while Andy was still studying at UBC, MotionGrey has evolved from its first desk prototype into a thriving e-commerce brand, generating over 18 million in annual revenue and serving more than 700,000 customers across Canada. What a feat. Andy's guiding philosophy, Stay in Motion, reflects his belief in movement, wellness, and continuous growth, values that drive both his business and personal life. Beyond MotionGrey, Andy's deeply engaged in Canada's entrepreneurial ecosystem, sharing his experiences in scaling e-commerce ventures, operational excellence, and building founder resilience. So join us, a big welcome as we sit down with Andy Hsu to explore his journey from a student startup to a national success story. Together, we'll uncover how passion, persistence, and purpose can transform ideas into thriving businesses that make a lasting impact. I'd like to first thank our sponsors, our banking partner, RBC, our shipping partner, UPS, and preferred HR and payroll partner, ADP, and of course, our tech partner, Google. If you're a small business owner in Canada, you can apply to be featured as the UPS Small Business of the Day. Every day, Canadian SME Small Business Magazine, with support from UPS, our exclusive shipping partner, features a different small business on our social media channels. As the UPS Small Business of the Day, you'll receive free promotion on Canadian SME social media channels. You can apply now by visiting CanadianSME.ca. Now, let's take a quick break and see what's in store for you by our exclusive partners.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. Still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
All right. Very happy to have with us Andy Hsu, the CEO and co-founder of MotionGrey. Andy, it's great to see you.
How are you doing, Elissa?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you on this Monday?
Super great, super great. Yeah, it's a bit
Wonderful.
chilly here in Vancouver, but other than that, everything's good.
'Tis the season, right? It's
That's
the
right.
same here on the other coast.
Yeah.
I have so many questions, and congratulations, first of all, on this incredible success story in an era where that kind of success isn't really a given, right?
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, go ahead. Yeah.
No, definitely ask away. I'm super excited for the interview today.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, let's start at the beginning then. You founded MotionGrey while you
Mhm.
were still, as I said in the intro, you were still studying at UBC. So that's very ambitious. What inspired you to take that leap into entrepreneurship so early on?
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I studied civil engineering, and I think back when I was in my teens, I think entrepreneurship had there was a bit of gravitation into to that already. I was interested in business, but I think what I knew was only about building homes. So I think that's the natural transition into civil engineering for myself. Now, I think once I started learning about website development and then obviously meeting my business partner Alex is when we start to go into the e-commerce space. But I think even just with like choosing the career path that I wanted to go, civil engineering was one of the elements of how I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. But obviously it went with the e-commerce route. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, MotionGrey just started apparently with a single desk prototype. Can you take us through that journey from the first concept to building this massive brand that now serves over 700,000 customers? I'd love to hear sort of your thought process, some of the doubts you may have had early on, and just how this grew so quickly.
For sure, yeah. I think standing desk was the first desk prototype that we had. But if you, the Motion Gray business itself actually started with a company called Pulse Labs, and that actually was a gaming chair company. And yeah, the natural progression of how the product just evolved over time started with gaming chairs, and then evolved into office chair, and then we wanted to introduce a desk product into our assortment. And during that time, we also started the brand Motion Gray. But again, with standing desk, it was something that was it was super expensive at the time. I think any desk that you see would have been around 1K, 1.5K. So for us, we really wanted to provide an affordable quality option for Canadians, and people resonate with that because we were able to come into the market pretty much be able to compete at even like 50% of what was the market value. So that's how we really grew. We knew what we had. We understand the strategies that we can implement and kind of kept on doing that every single year for 8 years. And now we've served over 700,000 customers. So, which is insane to think about. Yeah,
It really must be kind of surreal. I want to know how I mean, it's a great strategy, but how can you manage to undercut the competition by
right.
50%?
Yeah, it's insane because I think with our industry in the office furniture industry, it's traditionally the business has been there for many years. But with myself and my business partner, I think that's a testament to our resilience and out of the box thinking, where we just had two employees for many years, right?
Wow.
So even from that standpoint, and be able to sell through the e-commerce platform,
Yeah.
you undercut a lot of the extra cost that you see with traditional businesses, right? So I think we tapped into the market in the right time. That's when e-commerce started to grow. And another big platform for us was Amazon. And once you understood how to rank, how to sell, it really is something that you can keep on replicating and really generate a good cash flow for your business.
Okay. And speaking of timing, you're saying you tapped in at the right time.
Mhm.
It strikes me that 2020 changed everything and that these standing desks would become very much in demand, much like gym equipment.
Yeah, for
It was
sure.
hard to keep up with demand, I would imagine,
Yeah.
at a point in time where a lot of companies were not doing so well. Can you take us through that part of the journey?
Yeah, for sure. So again, timing I think is understated. I think it's actually a big part of how to be successful. But with that said, we started MotionGrey on paper 2018, but we were already operating in 2017. And I think for the first 2, 3 years, it was just figuring out what we had, even with the transition between gaming chairs into standing desk happened within this 3 years, right? And we're also figuring out logistics on how to fulfill because our stuff is super big and bulky. So it's not a traditional smaller items. It's not that easy to just pack it out through Canada Post or UPS as one of the sponsors. But you needed those partnerships. You needed to understand how to do this whole customer flow and how do you sell and then how do you fulfill and do customer service. So we did that whole thing, figured it out in about 2, 3 years. We worked with a 3PL and 2020 happened, like you said, and that 5x our business in 1 year. We went from 1.5 to 7 million in 1 year. Again, like you said, I think COVID completely changed the what customers and what people needed for home office, right? Because everyone transitioned from work from the office into work from home. So that shift in habit was a huge advantage for MotionGrey. And even now, I think ergonomics is something that you don't skimp on. It's something that it's an essential. So again, that whole experience was insane. But to that, I think we actually got kicked out from our 3PL. We,
Okay.
because our stuff is big and bulky, they don't make much money from shipping our
Right.
goods. So we got kicked out. So that's another thing that we had to deal with in 2020, 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you said, that we don't want to, you can't skimp on wellness. I want to talk about that in more detail afterwards. But in this world of kind of disposable everything, where, I could go on Amazon or anywhere else and find something really cheap, super cheap, that, looks maybe the same. Is that a battle for you? Is that a challenge, or do you find that the right customers find you who really appreciate the quality of what you're selling?
100%. I think your products and services would speak for what kind of business that you're running. I think over time, if you're running something for just short-term money, then obviously you can go about it like that. But for us at MotionGrey, we want to build a brand. We want to be able to provide value to the Canadians and also around the world. So again, by understanding just how to do that. Again, product services speaks for itself. And like you said, customers will naturally understand the differences between uh, a product that may have skimped on cost to something that is catered to the customer for long-term usability. And I think it's also just I don't want to buy myself is I care about the products that I sell because those are the things that I use every day. So if it affects me and how I operate, imagine having that to be shared to so many people. That's just not the right way to operate. So I think from that standpoint, there's just so many elements where to do the right business, it's always going to be good business.
Yeah, yeah, doing the right thing, and it's always just the right thing, and it's the best way to go about. I totally agree with you if you're looking long term, right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and this really ties to your philosophy, your personal philosophy, and it seems like your professional one too. Stay in motion, right? So this ties together, yes, productivity and business, and as well as health, right? And so how has this mindset shifted or shaped your approach to, not shifted, but probably shaped your approach to leadership and innovation?
For sure. I think to do good, productive work would equate to making sure that your health is on point and making sure that that is number one priority. And I think just based on what I've seen, I think entrepreneurs or just people, I think there is a level of like work that there's a level of um, people kind of glorify putting in the 15 to 20 hours. Now, I think that's great, but I don't think that can be done in a long-term perspective. And I think when you're understanding kind of the way to operate and the scale, the time scale that they're working with, I think that can really shift your philosophy. Stay in motion for me is something that's near and dear to my heart because in my early 20s, when I was 23, 24, I actually had like insane back pain. It was so bad that it radiated to my fingertips and to my toes. So back pain kind of just spread across the whole body. And it was so bad where when I stood up, the room, I would have vertigo. So
Oh,
I
wow.
experienced that in my early 20s. And it was so bad where I didn't know if I would ever be able to recover from that. And it's insane because you're operating at about like a 50% of what you normally think you would be able to. So again, experiencing that at a young age, you're just like, man, like I would give anything to be able to not feel like this, not feel like crap. And praise God again, like what happened was I was calling my mom and then she was like, "Yo, you can't be doing this. You have to do something about it. Why don't you go swim?" So then I went to the nearby swimming facility, and I started to like do my front crawl, do my little froggy style,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I think it's like the first time in a long time that I felt better, right? I think the spinning didn't really spin. It kind of just focused on one point. And I'm like, man, like okay, I can do this because that's the first time in a long time that I felt good. So again, fast forward to now, I'm playing basketball, I'm working out. Health is again, I would never sacrifice my health because to get to that point again was just I can't do it. Yeah. And I
Right.
want to be able to share that, making sure that health is number one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think whether it's mental health or physical health,
Right.
the healing comes in motion. I think it took me over 50 years to learn that. So I'm glad it didn't take you as long. It took you half the time to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the moral of the story here is listen to your mother because mothers always know.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. No, I'm interested in, you touched on this a little bit, but scaling from startup to a multi-million dollar brand in a few short years, that's tough. And I know that COVID actually, as it turns out, was a big piece of this. But what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced during that growth, and how did you overcome them?
Mhm. I think the e-commerce ecosystem is you touch on every point of business. You have your logistics, your supply relations, you have your marketing and sales and customer service. I think in the beginning it was just figuring out everything by yourself. So a lot of testing, a lot of just failing as well. But I think it was always really fun, always great to learn. I think that's what really drove my co-founder and I to keep on doing this because we just felt like it was fun for us to do. I think a big one was, if you want to talk about a specific instance, it was when we got kicked out of the 3PL. Because if you think about the e-commerce business itself, is half logistics, half marketing and sales. Two components, logistics and sales. We didn't have to really think about the fulfillment piece until like 2020, 2021, because again, of our big and bulky items. But that was a huge one. We got kicked out, so we had to go from relying on a 3PL service to self-fulfillment, right? In a matter of like 2, 3 weeks. So think about that. That was around 100 orders every day. So we went from not doing it to having to do it yourself.
Wow.
And
It's
funny story
incredible.
is we used the storage lockers. We
Okay.
we rented 11 outdoor storage lockers and we just filled it to the brim, each one, right? And then we, we did the fulfillment ourselves through like snow and rain, through all the different elements because it's outdoors, right?
Yeah.
But man, like it's a story for sure. Fulfillment is hard.
Well, yeah, and yet something tells me that you got kind of the warm and fuzzies when you think about those days because
Yeah.
they'll never come back, right?
No,
That's
no,
those are some.
hopefully, yeah, hopefully
Well, we
never
hope.
comes. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It kind of reminds me of, is it this the Spanx founder who talked about, like it just took over her entire house, just her living room, and then it became the whole house, which is kind of fun, but I'm sure you're glad that that's in the rear view for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Now, e-commerce has evolved dramatically since 2017, just in and of itself. So how have you adapted to the changing, let's say, consumer behaviors as well as the tech shifts to keep Motion Gray competitive?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's continuously to learn. I love what's happening around the tech space. Obviously, with the introduction of Gemini, ChatGPT, and all that. Again, I think there's like it's like a in some ways it's kind of widely talked about, but there are productivity tools that can be created through just a lot of the tasks that we may have been doing manually. Now, I think this gives us more time to be strategic about the decisions we make at Motion Gray. So I think I've been loving that, just learning about that. Definitely, like just in the beginnings of it, because I think business is super, super busy where to be even to have that time to learn that is something that I'm trying to juggle because
Mhm.
I do think um, learning should be a part of my schedule to be able to understand how to navigate and follow the market trends, the tech trends, right?
Yeah.
But I think is number one just to be aware. I think the founder community that I'm part of also has similar scenarios at what I may be facing with Motion Gray. So the way that we operate, we can kind of share among ourselves as well. I think being able to look at different blog posts and other founder user case scenarios largely beneficial. But again, it's like where do you look, right? How do you get the most effective impact with the least amount of time spent? So trying to juggle that for sure. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about how it will affect Motion Gray for the years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny, your enthusiasm and the idea of making it fun or finding the fun in it seems an integral part of the process. So that's great for anybody watching, I think.
Yeah.
Now, you've emphasized, as you say, wellness and movement as part of your brand and your life philosophy. But I'm interested in how you, because you're talking about how you're spending your time, how do you maintain balance and avoid burnout as a founder?
Yeah, definitely. I think the business now compared to the business in the beginning is different. Myself and my co-founder started it when we were in our early 20s, but now we have people under Motion Gray. So again, the way that I represent myself as a representation of how we are as a business, and I think understanding the responsibility can dictate the way I operate on a day-to-day basis. So I think it's making sure that you have your pillars that's important to you. It could be business, it could be family, it could be health, right? And I think it's a juggling act between what's needed at what time. but none of it should be uh, taking a step back, right? It's just a matter of how do you kind of tip the scale at each point in time. But the goal is to make sure that everything is moving up over time, right? But yeah, so I think for me, again, all three of them, they're very important, super important that I revolve my life around, and kind of just doing that juggling act between those three main pillars for myself. Yeah.
That's a great visual for visual people like me, right? If one of them becomes too strong and the other's too weak, you're you're tipping, not in
Correct.
a good way. Right, right.
That's
Love
right.
that.
Mhm.
Now, as we all know, building a strong team is essential for scaling. So, what qualities do you look for when you're bringing people into your company, and how do you maintain
Mhm.
culture, this strong culture as your business grows?
For sure. I think I kind of look at where we're at, even back when we're in our early 20s. I think the traits that I'm looking for when I'm looking to hire at this point in the business is eager to learn. I think have a level of curiosity. And the last one is trust. I think I need to be able to trust the people I'm working with because these people are the most intimate people that I'm going to be around half of the day, if you really think about it.
True.
And to answer your question about building culture, one thing that I talk about at MotionGrey is I want to be able to build entrepreneurs within the business, right? I want you to understand the business in the way I see it. And again, that is much easier said than done. But I think because the people around me, they trust and they understand the love that we have around with our crew, I think the way we operate can be much more productive and much more synergistic. So I think I've heard a quote from Andrew Wilkinson saying that the goal of a CEO is to make mini CEOs.
I
Again,
love that.
that is exactly the way that I look at the business is that I want to be able to give everything that I have to the people around me. Because one thing is I remember when I was in my early 20s, I knew about e-commerce and I was like, man, like people should know about this because my mind completely shifted from not knowing to knowing, right? And if it's a matter of just putting in the work and to be resilient and putting in the time, that's all I got when I was younger, right? And I think I want to be able to provide that option for people and let them learn. So that is huge for me.
That's so refreshing to hear. Yeah, the people should learn about this versus the gatekeeping that we often see. So
Yes, that's right.
that I imagine is then reflected back to you in multiple ways by
Right.
those working for you. Wonderful.
Mhm.
And many young entrepreneurs may be watching now. They look up to leaders like you. So
Mhm.
that's some good advice. What other advice would you give to students or early stage founders who dream of starting their own business in Canada?
Yeah, I'm reading a book called The Next Five Moves by Patrick Bet-David. I think when I was reading the book, a lot of the elements that I think are important actually is reflected on paper. So I think one thing is you can take a look at that book. But I think for younger entrepreneurs is to understand your position and what you have. So the way that I kind of deduced my position and what I can spend was I didn't have the resources or finance. I didn't have the skill sets, but I had a lot of time when I was in
Right.
my early
Right.
20s.
Yeah.
So I can actually spend that time to learn the skill sets to build a business, right? Understand your position at each point in your time is very, very important because that dictates how you can operate, right? Say if I had a family, I have my responsibilities. I can't just go off and try to start a business because that would be but that wouldn't be the right for the everything that I care about. So I think number one is to see from a macro standpoint of where you're at and see what you need and what you can offer, right? And from there, I think the way that you can deduce the position and what to work on will be a lot simpler. So again, the way I see business is you have time, you have finance, you have skill sets. If you have all three, you're good to go.
Golden.
But if you're missing and you're lacking one, I think you can kind of again play in that juggling act between the three and see where you want to kind of divert your time and energy into.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you.
Mhm.
I've got one more of my questions, and then we're going to open the floor to those who are watching.
Sure.
So, looking ahead, I mean, this is the what's next for you? What's next for Motion Gray and you personally? Any upcoming projects or innovations or goals you're really excited about?
For sure. For MotionGrey right now, the tagline, even on my social media, is road to nine figures, road to 100 million.
Love it.
Again, that's just a hook, right?
Yeah,
So much more that goes into it, right? How do you reach 100 million if you don't take care of your family? How do you reach 100 million if you don't take care of your health? That is the point that I want to actually deliver and to let my audience know is that you can actually get to that point when you look at all the other parts, right? You have to make sure that all the other parts are the foundation to get to that point. Again, the point was never the goal, but the journey was more important. And the journey it has to be fun. If you don't have the passion, then I just wouldn't do the business itself. But no, so for Motion Grade, that's the exciting part that we're trying to build. And I think in the coming years, I would want to start a family as well. That's going to be interesting to see how I do that juggling act, right?
right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to the coming years.
I love that. All right. Well, we've got one of our attendees has asked you. We have a couple of questions here, actually.
Sure.
Somebody says, Andy, you started Motion Gray while you were still a student at UBC. I know, right? What kept you motivated and focused during those early days of building the business?
One big part was I was just enjoying the journey. Everything that I looked at, I was like, man, this is mind blowing. Okay, how do I? So you're trying to solve one problem, you solve it, and then there's going to be another problem. It's like an infinite book of problems that every time you figure it out, it's like a 1% efficiency gain to this bigger game that you're playing. So again, it was like if you understood that ultimate goal, you knew that everything that you've learned is like one step closer to that. So that kept me really motivated for the first 2, 3 years because I just didn't know anything. So it was like each time you're figuring it out. So yeah,
Yes,
I think that I
that's
definitely
amazing.
love that part for sure.
That's a mindset shift that's just so foundational. Yes, it's a growth mindset, but it's also, it goes from there's all kinds of problems, which actually I'd say prevents people from even beginning this journey to every problem. Yes, there's problems and every problem has a solution. There's solutions made for it. And I love the game analogy. I'm seeing this theme coming forward, the gaming chairs and all the way
Right.
to
Maybe.
I love it. I think that's just such a fabulous approach to life and business. Thank you. So someone else has asked, you've talked a lot about resilience in entrepreneurship. What are some of the personal habits or mindset shifts, as we've just talked about, that helped you push through the tough times?
Yeah, I think the way I operated in my early 20s was I sacrificed a lot of my health, a lot of my time in operating and learning. I think it was okay for the short term, but now that I'm progressing into more of a long-term game, I'm really trying to make sure that my schedule is super dialed up. In the mornings, I try to read my Bible. I try to get to work in a set of time, have my family time as well. So I think for me, it's more about just trying to do this every single day for 5 to 10 years. And that's the mindset that I have now is we figured out product market fit with MotionGrey. But really to get the best work, and especially now, I think it's more about the strategic elements of what I'm trying to do with MotionGrey to be important. It's not so much just going into the nitty-gritty work, right? The day-to-day work. It's more about how do you look at the macro environment and make the right call for the company. And I think with that, you need to have all parts of your life to be at an optimal state to make the right call, right? So I think for now, that's kind of how I see it, is I'm trying to play the long game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great way to play the long game. So often we are so focused outside in the external world and market conditions and what do they want? And it seems to me from day one, you were more focused on how can I be
Mhm.
that CEO, that one who can actually drive this business forward, not how do I get the business to move forward? Is that
Mhm.
a fair assessment, basically?
I would say so. I think especially when the business is small, the founder is the extension for the business. The founder is what's going to push everything forward. And I think that's true for small and medium-sized businesses,
Mhm.
because the vision and the vision is actually much easier to direct across your company at a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. All right. You may have answered part of this question, but I have one last one from
Sure.
someone who's watching right now. MotionGrey has grown so quickly, now serves hundreds of thousands of customers across Canada. But how did you manage to scale the company while keeping the same level of quality and customer experience? Yeah, that's a
It's
fair
a great
question.
question. It's a
Yeah.
super great question. I think one thing for us is when we scaled, we didn't really see the growth trajectory of that scale. I think, like you said, to keep the same quality for us, when we went 5x, like that element of the quality definitely decreased a bit. But because we had our solid group of people, myself, Alex, and we had our customer service reps, that was one thing that we really, really cared about. I think we definitely did over hiring for sure during that time. You needed to make sure that the foundation of what you cared about, customer service and the quality is there. But with that, there's going to be some additional expenditures for the business. But again, I think one thing is we look to hire for more so that from a standpoint of quality for fulfillment or customer service, that's not compromised, right? I wouldn't say that's the most efficient crew for those teams,
Right.
but I think you can employ more, put more hours so that the quality between company and customer is not compromised. So that's kind of how we navigated it. And I think as your business starts to kind of reach an equilibrium on a year-to-year basis, you kind of know exactly the people and the systems that you need on each level.
Yeah.
From there, you can kind of grow strategically.
Wonderful. I could talk to you all day, Andy. You have a great light about you, and this has been such an inspiring chat for me, and I know for those watching. So I want to thank you so much for joining us for Canada Business Talks today. Your insights on resilience, leadership, and being purpose-driven and always in motion really, I know, inspired our audience. So we're grateful for your time and for sharing this journey with us. And really, it sounds like it's just the beginning. It was a pleasure having you, and we are wishing you continued success in all you do.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, Liza. Bye now.
All right. Take care. And I want to thank our sponsors, our exclusive banking partner, RBC, our exclusive shipping partner, UPS, our preferred HR and payroll partner, ADP, and our exclusive tech partner, Google. Now, before you go, I want to make an exciting announcement for all the small business owners joining us today. And I know that's a lot of you. The Canadian SME Small Business Awards 2025 are officially open for nominations. This is your chance to gain national recognition for your hard work, innovation, and impact on Canada's business community. Here's what you need to know. Deadline to apply is December 5th, 2025, which is right around the corner. It is completely free to apply. Small businesses can apply for up to 5 award categories, and you can visit smeawards.ca to submit your application. And if you're a business owner who's been making a difference, whether through innovation, leadership, or community support, we want to celebrate you. So don't miss this opportunity to showcase your success on a national stage. Once again, the website to apply is smeawards.ca. Thank you for joining us today for Canada Business Talks, and we hope today's session leaves you inspired, informed, and ready to lead. We'll see you at our next session.